Today, I want to talk about your sexual attraction. I've talked about hormones, I've talked about sexual function and dysfunction. I really want to mention sexual attraction. I think I've talked about it before briefly, but this is going to go into a real in depth discussion about sexual attraction. What is sexual attraction? Sexual attraction is an attraction based on sexual desire or arousing sexual interest. So a sexual attraction is something that you feel towards someone, right? And it makes you feel sexual. It makes you want to have sex with that person. So it's a desire that you feel that just comes out from within and you just feel it physically, right? And you think about it. What about being sexually attractive, right? That's sex appeal. So sex appeal is something that an individual has, right? That makes people attractive or makes people be attractive to the person because of that sexual presence or aura. Okay. So people are sexually attracted to you if you have that sex appeal or you're sexually attractive. Okay. All right. So that's sexual attraction and that's sexually attractive, right? People see you, are drawn to you sexually, and when you're sexually attractive, you emit it, right? You actually feel that you are emitting some sexual attraction, and they get attracted to it. Okay, you can get sexually attracted to someone, and you can be sexually attractive. Okay, that means that we are actually engaging in some sort of interaction with the person that you're attracted to, be it he, she, they. Okay? What types of sexual attractiveness is there or are there? Okay, so I did some studying and it looks like we have different orientations. We have a sexual orientation, all right? And the sexual orientation is a type or it's the nature of the sexual attraction that we have for one another. Okay, so you and I are attracted to people. And so that attraction, what type of attraction do I have for somebody? Is there a type? Yeah, there is. We're going to go into that. It's a lot, so I'm going to just break it up into certain sort of sections and we'll talk about it. But I get sexually attracted to somebody and someone gets sexually attracted to me. Now, do we understand what that involves? We said it, right? It's a feeling of sexual desire. But there's a type, there's a nature, there are different feelings or different emotions that go into being sexually attractive that we really don't really think about. Okay. So the question I have now is when you're attracted to someone, what makes you attractive to that person and what makes you attracted to that person? So attractive and attracted. So what attracts you and what is attractive to them about you? Okay, so there's a nature, there's a type of attraction that goes on, different types. All right. And then later on we'll talk about romantic attraction, orientation, or gender attraction or orientation. So we can be attracted to gender, we can be attracted to the romance that someone is giving us, right? But right now we're talking about the sexual interaction that we have with one another. Okay? All right, so sexual orientation, we're going to talk about it in terms of what you feel when you are attracted to someone. It's a little bit complicated, but I've talked about it before. There's a spectrum. Okay, so I'm going to put us back in that spectrum I talked about before. Over here is the asexual, right? So they actually have an attraction that is zero, almost zero. So they have no attraction to people sexually. Okay. Then I'm going to come to my middle bar. I'm not going to go over to the side over here, right? The extreme over here is where they're hypersexual. I'm going to come to the middle bar. And that is a word I found out called, being sexually um, uh, alive or being sexual. Another word is being allosexual, ALLO sexual. And another word is being Z sexual, ZED sexual. And another word is being non-asexual. So the different ways of describing this middle ground where people are actually having sex. I'm going to define what that is. So the allosexual or the sexual person regularly experiences sexual attraction to other people on a regular basis. Okay. So we're having this feeling of, ooh, I want to have sex. And you're getting that on a regular basis. There's no discrimination. You see somebody and it's like, I want to have sex with that person. Something attracts you, right? Something the person has, a sex appeal. Or the way you are wired, you are sexually attracted to that particular type of person for several reasons. But I want you to think about the question, which is, are you able to just see anybody and then be sexually attracted to that person for whatever um, reason, right? We don't really want to go into that right now because it's so complicated. Each person has their own attraction. But I want you to understand that sexual normal, I'm going to say normal, I don't like that word normal, but that sexual ability to engage regularly in having that desire or having that feeling of being attracted to someone on a regular basis, not once in a blue moon. This is more of being sexually interested in people openly without being ashamed, without being inhibited. Okay? So, for example, you have a crush on somebody, right? You get these frequent crushes, right? So that is a type of being sexually um, allosexual, okay? Uh, being in a romantic relationship based on a feeling that you have. There's no bars hold. You just want to have that sexual relationship with someone and have, the actual active sex if you want to. But it's really the attractiveness. It's really the attraction that I'm talking about right now. You are attracted freely and you're attracted easily and you're attracted without any inhibitions. That's the question. Are you allosexual? Do you freely feel sexually attracted to someone? Or are there inhibitions? Are there things going on in your life that say, you know what? I am just not interested in this person, which is the asexual, right? The person's known that forever and ever, right? That they really don't have an interest in sex versus the person that really has that feeling of sexual attraction or that regular experience of having sexual desires, okay? So that's the allosexual. In between the allosexual and the asexual, we have a few um, types of sexual attraction that I want to address. One is the gray sexual. The gray sexual is close to the asexual, and they have very minimal experiences of sexual attraction, very low levels or very infrequent experiences of sexual attraction. Okay, so here we go. We've got the asexual, which is hardly any attraction sexually to anybody. We have the allosexual, that's always frequently seeing people, strangers, anybody, and say, oh my God, I feel attracted to that person. And then they decide whether they're going to act it or not. They may not. But the fact that they have that sexual attraction is called allosexual, which I'm putting right in the middle. Okay? In between the asexual and the allosexual or the sexual is the gray sexual, which is close to the asexual. And they have low attraction to people sexually, okay? And or they have it very infrequently. Okay? Are you one of those? Do you once in a while get attracted to someone? That's the question. Next to that, we have the demisexual. And the demisexual is, I'm going to go personal here, it's me. I actually realized that I'm demisexual. Was I always demisexual? No, I don't believe so. And I look at the past of my life. No, in the past, no, I wasn't. Younger, getting older. Now it's interesting. I really identify myself as demisexual. And if you look at the studies, there are quite a lot of people that identify themselves as demisexual. DEMI sexual. Very interesting. Demisexual people want to be sexually attracted to someone before they go any further. Okay? So demisexuals, they have a need to connect to someone. They will not engage with you unless there's some, when I say engage sexually, unless there is some attraction, some connection, some bond, some emotional thing. You've got to be a friend, you've got to know someone. Then they can go ahead. I can go ahead, we can go ahead, the demisexual can go ahead and decide whether we're going to have that sexual encounter or not. But the first thing is you've got to understand there are types of attractions, and we all have to understand our attractions, even though it's very complicated because there are so many branches of this. But the big branch or the big umbrella is demisexual, which means you want to have that experience. It's not about the sex, it's about the connection. So once you're attracted to someone, then you can decide to have sex. But you just, in demisexual, you just don't meet strangers and have sex. Now, the allosexual can go ahead and say, hey, I'm going to a party and have sex with someone that they're attracted to because it's an instant experience for them. Okay, so that means that the demisexual is a little bit more laid back. They just don't go out and have sex with anybody. They actually have to have a connection, and that is close to the gray sexual. So you have the asexual, the demisexual. Sorry, the asexual, the gray sexual, then the demisexual. The demisexual has to have that connection. Without that connection, they won't be able to have that sex. Now, of course, this is a general description. To be specific, they can vary in so many different ways. So it's a loose term, but a lot of people want to sort of like identify the fact that we have different types of attraction. So you have to figure out where you fall in this, okay? So I'm not talking about the hypersexual right now. I'm talking about the people between the actually, I'm not going to say normal. I will not say normal. The actual sexually free person versus the person that has more limitations or more rules rules attached to their attraction, okay? So we have the demisexual, which is again someone that has to sort of know the person, okay? And there's got to be some connection, okay? Then next to that we have the semi-sexual, and the semi-sexual is in between being allosexual, which means they can have sex, and asexual, which means that they don't want to have sex. So there's somewhere in there where they bounce around that percentage of 50-50 or 40, 60 percentage, depending on their being asexual or they're being allosexual. Meaning, sometimes they'll have actually no feelings of having sex. They don't have no attraction, and then sometimes, boom, out of the blue, they have these periods of wanting to have sex and being attracted to someone. So they have that the ability to be both allosexual and asexual, and that is again a variance or a variety or a type of asexual uh, attraction that you might discover that you have also. Okay, so just to emphasize again, we have sexual attractions, and those sexual attractions are very important because if we understand, for example, in my case, I am attracted to someone that I have a connection with, right? Then we'll be able to not be hard on ourselves and not wonder what's wrong with me, right? Because some people say, oh my goodness, my friends are going out having a party, they're having sex, and I'm not, or you're not if you're demisexual. So remember, you can be any of these, and you can actually move between the four or five, right? Asexual, allosexual, demisexual, gray sexual, and semi-sexual, so five. You can move in between these throughout your life. So you don't have to stick in one area. You can be one earlier, like I was, probably allosexual earlier when I was much younger, and now I'm more demisexual. So the question now is, have I adjusted? Have I accepted? Have I acknowledged the fact that my attraction is that particular type so that I can be more open with my partner and my partner can be more open with me and I can find out what sort of attraction they have for me so that we can both be closer and actually have a better way of communicating and satisfying ourselves eventually in the bedroom, right? Because that's the ultimate game plan for you to have the biggest, the best sexual experience you can in the bedroom. But when you are confused and you're feeling guilty, that might inhibit that. So I want you to understand there are classes of types of attraction, and they're all perfectly normal according to what you choose to be and what you are. You just accept it, love it, and respect it. Okay? All right. So I wanted to explain to you that a primary sexual attraction, because I did give the definition of it. The primary one is where, again, you are allosexual. You are aroused, you are attracted by someone because of something that you saw. Okay, so I'm going a little bit into more details about the attraction. So you saw something. Let's say you saw their looks, they're handsome, or they're attractive, or they're masculine, right? Something just turned you on, or their clothes, or their height, or their smell, right? Their pheromones, something you can't even pinpoint it turns you on, and it could be a stranger, and that's where you're allosexual. Now, the person that sees people and doesn't get turned on, like me, are demisexuals. We don't really see them and get turned on. We're sort of like, yeah, good looking guy, right? Or yeah, good looking girl. So we tend to like what we see, but there's no groins burning and our body just getting hot and getting into heat. So we're sort of, the demisexual is sort of like laid back, and it takes time for us to warm up to that particular person that we do eventually want to develop a bond with. So we're going to not be doing it for the sex, we're doing it for the sexual experience or the attraction. So we are enjoying being attracted to someone. So it's not the sex alone. We enjoy the sex, but it's the actual sexual experience, or the dance. I like to call it the dance, right? And that's what turns the demisexual on. Otherwise, they're not going to have sex, for example, with a stranger or with someone that they just met. It doesn't really happen often unless there is a strong sexual connection. Then it can happen. Okay. So, an instant attraction to people based on information. Again, it could be the smell of the person, the height. It could be anything that the shape of the nose, the shape of the ears, the hair, or again, the way they dress, that will turn on some attraction and can lead to, and may not lead to sex, right? So you could lead to sex, it might not lead to sex. But the most important question is, what type of attraction are you experiencing? Are you experiencing that allopathic, which is freely having sex whenever you want to, which is, again, healthy, as long as it's protected? Please make sure it's protected. Make sure you're using condoms and getting tested all the time, please, for STDs, okay? Then that's called the primary sexual attraction. You just go out and just feel free to be able to feel that attraction and decide whether you're going to act it or not. You might not even act on it. You might say, you know what, next time, not in the mood right now for whatever reason. But you are aware that you have those needs, and you are aware that you can satisfy them whenever you want to. Okay. Secondary sexual attraction is more of the demisexual, where we wait. Now, waiting depends, again, on the type of demisexual person you are. So you might wait 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, 1 year. It all depends on how you feel in terms of your sexual attraction. And again, guys, be patient, because women and men experience this too. But you'll find that it's not that they're not attracted to you, they're just trying to make that bond stronger. In some cases, in some other cases, they will not even have sex. They're just attracted to you, and they won't have sex with a demisexual. Same thing with all of them, right? None of them have to have sex, because the asexual might have sex with you, the gray sexual might have sex with you, the demisexual, the allosexual might have sex with you, but you have to understand what you're dealing with so that you're not confused. You're like, okay, why is this person doing this? Why is it that it's taking so much time to have sex? And if you can break it down and figure out where they fall, you'll have a better chance of understanding how they're behaving, whether they're attracted to you, and not blame them negatively, saying, oh, they're not attracted to you, when they actually are, but their style of being attracted to you might be different from yours. Okay? So remember, an emotional bond with someone does not mean you have to have sex with that person. So you can have that bond and not have any sexual attraction and have no sex. Or you can have that bond, have sexual attraction and have no sex. Or you can have that bond, have sexual attraction and have sex. And you can have sex without the sexual bond, without the sexual attraction. You can just have sex, and they're all okay. You just have to understand, be safe. You have to understand yourself and know exactly what you're doing, and be straight with your partner, whoever you're with, so they understand exactly where you're coming from also. Okay, and so that's called being fluid, when I say you can go from one to the other, it is very important to know it is also normal to go from one type of attraction to the other over the years of your life. Just know that you could be in one and actually have traits of the other. For example, a demisexual could sometimes be asexual, or be gray sexual, or be semisexual, right? Now, the demisexual, semisexual, asexual, and gray sexual are not allosexuals. Allosexuals are definitely separate, in a separate category from the asexuals. They're all supposed to be a type of asexual. Yeah, I was surprised when I read that too. But the demisexual, asexual, gray sexual, asexual, I said asexual, demisexual, semisexual, gray sexual are all a type of asexuality. Okay, I know that's complicated, but the allosexual is the free spirit, and they're the ones that stand in their own category where they're able to be sexual on a regular basis. So if you know someone that's not having a lot of sex, they're probably in one of the categories that is non asexual. No, that is asexual. The non-asexual is the allosexual. So the non-asexual is the asexual. Sorry, is the allosexual. I'm getting confused. So the allosexual is the person that is non-asexual. The asexual are those other groups. All those 4 groups I mentioned are in that asexual category. The 5th one, allosexual, is the one that is very free to have sex. And you've got to, again, understand who you are and who your partner is, so you can have a better relationship, okay, in the end, and have, again, achieve that great sexual experience in the bedroom when you're honest to yourself and you can identify what type of sexual orientation you prefer at this time in your life. Okay? All right. So I said I have to jump on board and tell you about that. I will continue. If not tomorrow, I'll try Friday. If not Friday, I'll try Monday. And we're going to continue with this. We're going to go into the romantic orientation. What sort of romantic love or loving do you like to engage in? Because there are different types of being romantic in terms of orientation, in terms of how you want to be in a relationship. It's called romantic orientation. And then there's gender orientation, which I know you guys know about. And then the question is, what sort of gender are you attracted to sexually? Okay. And we know that there's so many different types that can be out there. We'll talk about that. But today I want you to take home this point. Are you allosexual, which means you can have sex anytime you want? You can be sexually attracted to anyone freely? Or are you semi-sexual, which means, sometimes you're in it, sometimes you're not. Sometimes you're like wanting to have sex freely, and then sometimes, you don't even care. Or are you demisexual? You've got to be connected to someone. You've got to be in a relationship. There's got to be some sort of bond. There's got to be some sort of friendship. I've got to know the person, right? Or are you gray sexual, where, once in a while, very rarely, you feel like having sex, feel like being attracted to someone. You don't really have that experience as much. Or when you do have it, it's low quality, low quantity, it's not that intense. Or are you asexual, where you really have no interest in having sex? And again, each of them can be fluid, move from one to the other, and still have sex, whether they're in that category or not. They can be mixed up, and other things can be involved. But the basic umbrella I want you to understand is, where do you fall, so that you can understand yourself better? Okay? Bye. See you next time.